Hey, welcome to this week on CITE. I'm Alice, your AI presenter, here to spice up your Friday. And guess who's right here with me? The usual suspect Zenzele Ndebele. Together, we are here to break down the big headlines, discuss the stories shaping our world, and get you in the know all. So grab your coffee, or maybe something stronger. It's Friday, after all. I hear the big spenders from Harare are in town for the ZANU PF Conference.
Yes, you can tell the guys from Bambazonke are in town. Phela vela abantu bakhona bafuni into le order. You know, the way they drive indlela nje abagcwala indawo yonke. I don't know. It's going to be a very long weekend, but I'm sure ETTI is going to be making a lot of money clamping, the rough riders, abantu abaphaka indawo yonke, or maybe they are not going to. Phela ngama levels lokudelelana kwinto kwakhona. Anyway, my name is Zenzele Ndebele, and this is This Week on CITE, a program where we talk about issues that happen, the headlines and the stories that make the week. We start our program by looking at the ZANU PF Conference, which officially it started 22, is it? And it will end on the 26th, that is tomorrow. They started with the Politburo, the Central Committee. Today they are in Bulawayo. It's a Friday. They're in Bulawayo. There is a anti-sanctions march that is going on. Later on, there will be the official opening of the conference at the ZITE. There's been a lot of talk about this conference, what is likely to happen. Of course, the bottom line is the issue of the 2030. They've been talk that probably some elements in ZANU-PF want the current president Emmerson Mnangagwa to extend his term beyond 2028, maybe up to 2030. There are actually some who think that he should go for a third term. You know, the Zimbabwean constitution is very clear that the president should serve for 2 terms. So there has been that debate. We've seen the talk of 2030 Anengaripo. I don't think that this conference is going to solve that issue. ZanuPF conferences are usually, choreographed, well planned in advance. There is nothing surprising that is going to happen because everything is done well in advance. We might see maybe some certain resolution of some sort to adopt a resolution to amend the constitution or so, depending on how those who are pushing for the 2030 think that they have the balance of power. But my theory is that the opposition is the one that is going to be used, or what remains of the opposition is going to be used to push that 2030 agenda. Remember, if ZANU-PF says let's push the term of office for the president to 2030, that means the current councillors are going to enjoy or benefit from the extension of 2 years. The current MPs are going to enjoy the extension of 2 years. Most of the guys who are MPs right now, most of the guys who are councillors right now know that probably it's the end of their political career. Most of them are not going to go back. So they are going to welcome another extension because it comes with a little bit of benefits, little salary, little allowance here and there. So it's said that ZANU-PF is going to use the opposition as well to push their agenda. And what the sad reality again is that currently we don't have any opposition. Ngabantu nje abazidlelayo who are thinking about themselves and how about to line their pockets, how they can get another car, another house. The love of cars for our politicians, for Zimbabweans, is the greatest downfall for mankind in this country. I really don't know why politicians love cars so much, why Zimbabweans love so much cars. Umuntu anganikwa imota nje uvele ehlanye nje khohlwe nje principle into ayilande eparliament or into ayithembisa abantu. Dear opposition, make your own money, buy your own cars, and have at least a semblance of integrity and principle. Abantu bezanu bayakwazi ukuthi lithanda ukudla, lithanda izimota, and this into cities zithiwa ngezikudlayo. They're going to give you the cars. They're going to give you the money, and they're going to dance for their tune. Lingathola izikhathi wa politician opposition lizinuka amakhwapha, because what you're doing right now, you're not representing the people. You're representing yourselves. Anyway, let's move on.
I am looking forward to the conference resolutions. What the situation with the NGO Bill?
Talking about the opposition and the politics in Zimbabwe, the NGO Bill was passed by the Senate a few days ago. What was striking was there was no objection from anyone in the opposition with Senate Lapa. I thought those who claim to be opposition representing the people were going to raise or some of the issues that people have been talking about. The major issue that civil society organizations are talking about is that the NGO bill gives a lot of power to the minister. The minister can deregister organizations. He can appoint a board that takes over. The registrar of the NGOs can register organizations, decide not to. There are a lot of clauses in this past bill that actually against or, that violate the constitution when it comes to freedom of association, when it comes to many other things. And I thought the learned colleagues in the Senate, we have some of the brilliant lawyers from the opposition, we thought they were going to oppose. But anyway, because your chance is to eat. So it's said that the bill passed in the Senate without any amendments, any opposition. It now waits the signature of the president. Last time he did not sign it. We don't know whether this time around he is going to sign it. And it's not yet clear who is supposed to register and who's not supposed to register. And it's also not clear how this law is going to affect the number of non-governmental organizations that are working in Zimbabwe, doing a great work in communities, and how the beneficiaries themselves are going to suffer because of this law. So only time will tell, and we will know when the president signs what it means. But for now, let's hear from the Deputy Director of the Zimbabwe Lawyers for Human Rights, raising some of the concerns when it comes to just passed NGO bill.
So the PVO bill was passed on 17 October 2024. We managed to go through the Hansard of that day. It doesn't give much information in terms of the bill that was passed by Senate, but what we managed to do was to look at the bill passed by the lower house, which is Parliament, the National Assembly. The bill had some committee stage amendments, and we also managed to look at that. The key highlights of the bill that was passed in the National Assembly, and we presume that it is the same bill that was presented to Senate, because we failed to find the consolidated bill that was submitted to Senate and passed by Senate, that also incorporates committee stage amendments done by the National Assembly. So the key highlights of the bill are that what is new, definitely in terms of the bill that was passed by the National Assembly, was that they reintroduced the PVO board. They also put another clause 14, which also have like a transitional clause in terms of pre-existing organizations. They also try to amend and remove immoral sources of funds with illegal sources of funds. But by and large, all the other provisions, they are as they were in the bill that was gazetted by Parliament in March 2024. Nothing much changed there. But in terms of ministerial powers, nothing changed. The minister still has powers to even suspend the executive committees of CSOs. The registrar has powers to determine registration process and the power of the board and the registrar. There's no clarity in terms of the powers of the registrar and the board. We still see the bill still criminalize national office bearers of organizations and the organization themselves for violating the provisions of the bill. The bill also contains, of course, a registration clause, but the registration clause is not very clear in terms of the key requirements and the timelines within which the registrar can determine the applications, and further provides for the registrar to request additional information, which additional information is not captured in the bill, and this might unnecessarily prolong the registrations of organizations as and when the registrar makes demands or requests for additional information which is not clear. So as civil society organizations, we had engaged the Minister of Justice. We had also made some recommendations in terms of things that we felt that they were going to improve.
Now to a tough topic. Last week, Accountability Lab, CITE, and Bulawayo Progressive Residents Association launched a revealing documentary on urban mining in Bulawayo. This documentary uncovers how urban mining impacts the community, showing both environmental challenges and economic angles. With powerful interviews and striking visuals, it gives viewers a first-hand look at the effects on local residents, their livelihoods, and the city's landscape. Please take your time to watch this documentary. It's available on CITE's Facebook and YouTube page.
Abantu bayadla. So umuntu nxa uthi uyamkhipha isinkwe emlonyeni angwaze awuluma. Ayiboni njani nxa uthi uthathe ithambo ungimoka umdlwana. Akukulumi.
Very serious issue relating to gold panners in particular. It's not just a question of siltation of our dams. Such is the destruction of many of our river courses is that water will never get to our dams.
Uwathi 17 ukhanya ehanqwe ngamamayini. Ayikho ni mayini, amamayini. And ngokuzwa kwami kuthiwa amamayini mathathu la. Lapha i-disaster sasala siwele emgodini kumbe sichaye i-earthquake. Ngoba sisengozini la.
Siyakubona konke lokho okuningi, but bathini ngezindlu? Ama-cracks into eyiyeqhakathekile isiqokoqela.
You know, sometimes Zimbabwe can be so depressing. You know, having gone to the launch here, Pumula, last week where this documentary was launched, and listening to the community, I felt a bit sad, a bit disappointed. These mines are affecting people's lives. You know, the blasting that happens there, we witnessed some of the blasting when we were recording this documentary. It's a lot. The amount of dust and the noise that comes out from this blasting is too much. It's going to affect the kids in the long run. It's going to affect abantu impilo zabo. There is no normal life because you have to suddenly blasting. How is that blasting affecting people in terms of their hearing, in terms of their neurological order? No one has done a study to that. And going to this Pumula meeting, people were happy that Howlin Quarry Mine said they were going to give them amajojo tank. They were going to batalela fees abantwana abayi 17 for 1 year. That amounts to $1,000 if they're paying for 17 kids for 1 year. Fees location is about $20. And honestly, $60 a year times 17 is not much. How much is 21 tons of quarry? And if you look up, these people went to the Chinese and said, can you please drill a borehole for us? Babachela watasla mali. Sizalninga amajojo tank or ama water tanks. How much is a water tank? It's $450 or $350. We always, I've had the history, people talking about, hey, ulopengula watanks ilizwe. Deal Lopengula was far much better than the deals that are being signed by our political leaders when it comes to these mining deals. The deal Pengula is far much better than what the people of Pumula are getting from Ihaulin and the Zada and the other mines that are there. Are we going to sell the future of our kids for a 5,000 water tank, for $1,000 to pay for 17 students? I think we really manage this buze. But also it turns down to issue that when the few leaders are called and they are given this and that and an allowance here, they no longer look at the issues of the community. When we were recording this documentary, a lot of people told us that the problem is that leadership has been bought. I know, of course, everyone has a price, but I think when we claim to represent the people, let's represent the people.
Imagine capturing solar power from space, where the sun shines continuously without clouds or atmosphere in the way. This futuristic concept is being explored by the European Space Agency, aiming to beam solar energy to Earth via microwaves as a clean, round-the-clock power source. But it's no easy task. It would cost hundreds of billions and require huge infrastructure, with results possibly decades away. A fascinating vision, but with some serious challenges ahead. And that wraps up this week on CITE. Thanks for joining us. Stay informed, stay curious, and we'll see you next week.
Don't forget to follow us on our social media pages, CITE ZW on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok. On that said note, with all these depressing stories, I hope you have a happy weekend. My name is Zenzele Ndebele.